Yeah, so my name is Oleg, and I run this company called BUBL or Bubble, yeah, whatever you call it. And we're doing what is called like what we call digital art apps for kids brand. And we've been acquired by Fox and Sheep a year and a half ago. And Fox and Sheep is like one of top three really the most successful and biggest kids apps developers and publishers on the App Store. So 2 years ago, this is me and my team. 2 years ago, we set up to create a brand of kids apps that would look and feel like nothing you could expect from a kids apps. And to do that, I've assembled a very unlikely team of developers. So for example, as a CTO, we've had an ex-Crytek tech guy who was working on AAA titles like Crysis or Far Cry. And we've had a contemporary artist as our art director, and who has this thing for like contrast black and white imagery, just as a still of one of his exhibitions in Moscow. And we had a producer who was previously working on Disney titles and played in a hardcore band. We've had a DJ. We've had as a sound designer, we had a classical trained composer. And we had a vision. So the vision was to create an environment with these set rules. Within those rules, kids would create something every time they play, sort of like a toolbox, not like a very direct gameplay experience which we normally expect from kids apps. So we were like largely inspired by those sandbox artsy apps like Brian Eno's Bloom, for example, or Bjork's Biophilia. And we wanted to use as less specific imagery as possible to sort of like leave the space for kids' imagination to interpret things. And we wanted all of our apps to be like a part of this cohesive, consistent universe, not in terms of characters or story, more like in terms of digital or visual language and look and feel. And that was our very first app. It was called Bubble Tap, and it's a digital rattle toy for babies. So basically, like whatever you do, no matter what you do here, it reacts somehow. It's like a digital video art for kids, and basically for small babies. And I know it's still being referenced by Apple UI evangelist as the buttonless app, because there's no buttons. You can't go wrong here, and this is what they really like about it. That it's like no matter what you do, it reacts somehow. So next came BUBL Draw, this is our darling. This is an ultimate BUBL app. It's a toy. It's an abstract sandbox that we can draw with music, and it helps you to perceive the connection between form, color, and sound. So for every color, you have a different musical instrument attached to it. And so BUBL Draw got Editor's Choice Award in the App Store, and it made it to the Best of 2014 list of the App Store by the App Store editorial team, and it's still been featured by Apple in all sorts of collections they do. But you see, the challenge we saw with our apps is that they were really hard to grasp, because in a highly competitive environment of the App Store, I'm sure you know that you only have like 1 to 3 seconds max to communicate to users through your name and the icon, like what the app is about, like what this is. And then if they click your icon, then you have like 3 to maybe 5 more seconds to show them, to communicate through screenshots, the mechanics of the app. And it's really hard with our apps, which are so abstract and basically like this digital art. So we decided to introduce like the real life topics into our universe, like ice cream, for example. And this is Bubble Gelato, an app we made after this decision. So this is where you get to create music with ice cream. So every scoop has a musical phrase attached to it, and depending on the scoops you choose and the flavors and the sauces, the music is different every time. It's like a ice cream / music sandbox sequencer for kids. Again, it was featured, it got Editor's Choice Awards, and it was recently, it made it to the App Store Pinterest page alongside with like Toca Hair Salon, which is like the most successful kids apps on the App Store out there. Then we made a couple more apps. That was BUBL ABC, where you get to create a song with letters, like every letter is part of a song. And then token faces, we get to create a character and then play around with his moods and professions. So you can say, you can create like a policeman in love, or like, you know, a sad lumberjack or whatever. So one of the things that Apple always praised us for was our approach to kids apps usability, because I think we all know how hard it is. I mean, I run an app production agency, and I can tell you that, I mean, we're seeing 30% conversion drop by just introducing a new slide into the onboarding flow of an app. I mean, can you imagine that? Like, people actually install the app, now they see a question they're not comfortable with, and they're like, oh no, oh shit, yeah, I'm just going to delete this app, whatever. So, well, I can tell you it's pina coladas out there compared to kids' apps, because, I mean, kids, they're super hard. Like, 3 seconds, they don't know what to do, they hit the home button and bye-bye. And then they're not thinking about, like, you know, oh, I took the effort and I already installed the app, or I paid for that. They don't care. If they don't understand what's going on, if immediately then they don't know what's happening, they just, you know, hit the home button and they're saying, hey, daddy, can you please run something else for me? So we really put a lot of effort into play testing our UI, mechanics, and everything. So the kids take everything very, very literally. So they're very direct. So I mean, they obviously don't read text. So there's our apps, they don't have any text, and we have as less buttons as possible. And for example, like kids were scared, you know, when they saw this, and they didn't know what to do with it. So we introduced this face button, which you can tap. And then it shows you like a predefined image, which sort of showcases you what to do. Then kids wanted to, they didn't want to delete stuff, they just wanted to throw it away, so we supported that. And to avoid accidental taps, we invented this tap and hold mechanic. So those are all those UI decisions that came from playtesting. And some kids didn't notice the scoop balls in Gelato. I mean, they were just playing with this, so we made them sort of like, you know, winkle and sing for you. And everything is obviously, I mean, it's kids apps, but everything is very playful. Like the scoops, they make sounds when you throw them away. If, like here, for example, in Gelato. So there's no buttons, like the whole game is the interface. And you have to eat away the ice cream to erase that. Yeah, so using our experience, we decided to go 3D after those like five apps. Yeah, and these were just the first 2 renders we made while researching the art style for the next game. We didn't know what the app was going to be like. We only knew like 2 things. A, it has to be a familiar topic, cars. And B, we have to transfer our language to 3D, because we really wanted to try 3D. We thought and still think that this is much more engaging for users. I mean, the perception is that they're getting more if the app is 3D. Not necessarily true, but yeah. So this is City Cars, by far commercially our most successful app to this date. It seems very simple and normal at start, but you know, then all sorts of like BUBL stuff starts happening in here. So we basically managed to transfer our design language and thinking and like into 3D, but still staying true to the brand's DNA. So next, and this is our currently last BUBL app we've made, came Planes Adventures. So one of the complaints we got from the App Store for City Cars, well, apart from comments like, this is a game for drug addicts and stoners, was that basically people were saying there's not much to do here. It's like you were basically driving from A to B, and that's it. Well, this is a game for kids, for 5-year-olds. But we thought like, hey, why don't we make a proper game, like infuse it with real gameplay? Basically take the City Cars concept, like, switch to planes, and then sort of like infuse it with proper gameplay. And we did it. Like, I mean, there's a park of unlockable planes in there in this app. There's, you start slow, basically spend 1 minute just flying in the air for like about 45 seconds, and then with a gradually introduced challenge. So in order to keep flying, you gotta collect fuel, and if you keep collecting fuel, you're seeing more of the level, then you collect those green circles, then you unlock planes and whatever. Like, we tons of playtesting for that. So at some point, the interface looked like that. Of course, I mean, we then playtested that and got that, yeah, that was not the case how it should look. Then we had this we literally built a meta game for it. There was a whole concept of islands. Kids could unlock planes and travel between two. But then we found out that kids just got stuck in there. They thought this is the game, not the actual flying. So that was something else. So we like cut the full months of development time from the final product. And this is what it was in the end. It got editor's choice across EU, best was featured on US front page, best new apps. Yeah, so this is our second biggest, like, grossing, or like second most successful app after Cars. So yeah, Cars is still #1, but we think this is the topic, not the gameplay, that the problem is here. I mean, cars are basically just much more popular than planes. But the retention we're seeing in this app was amazing. I mean, we kept thinking, like, should we continue building kids apps, or I mean, if we manage to infuse a kids app, an app for kids with like proper gameplay, high retention, good UI that Apple and audience really loves, like, why don't we make a proper game for grown-ups? And this is why I'm here today. So this is basically, that was 2 years of my life, and this is what we're building now. This is what we're working on now. So we thought, like, can we apply the knowledge that we got from those 2 years to a game for grown-ups? Like, what can we basically bring? Of course, we're bringing the buttonless approach. Of course, we're bringing the no tutorial, no walkthrough approach. I mean, no one's going to look at that. No one's going to watch that. But what's the gameplay? So we're thinking about, like, 3 design pillars we're taking with us. One is the joy of losing. What I mean by that is in kids apps you can't fail. This is the rule. There's no game over. You can't do that. No matter what you do, something cool always has to happen. There's no going wrong. So our new game is about making cars crash. It doesn't even have a name yet, but the idea is that we basically, your goal is to make the biggest crash possible. So, but even the tiniest crash, in order for that to work, they have to look cool. So this is how it looks now. This is like a very basic crash. You see, there's a lot of physics, a lot of particles going on. Now imagine if you put like a little bit more effort into that. You can try avoiding other cars. But then you crash. And you can do this as well. Yeah, you can throw a whale. And then you're not doing anything. You're just watching what's going to happen. So the play session is super short, like 30 seconds max. Yeah. Now let's see if you can combine the crash and the whale to do something spectacular. Because there are other buildings that can explode in here. Yeah, so the next pillar we're taking with us is to make a toolbox. So in our apps, we introduce different toolbox to kids, like different tools that they can discover in there and then use to sort of like create something of their own. And in this case, if you drive and you sort of like notice what's happening here, like notice all those buildings. For example, this bunny. And you think, what's going to happen if I'm going to crash into that? Well, this is what's going to happen. You see, I'm now combining like this bunny building with the whale to get more points. And here, there's this donut thing. You see it? Yeah. And the last pillar is like you have to make a sandbox. But I know how hard it is to make a proper sandbox for grown-ups. It's crazy. I mean, we only know like, I don't know what, Minecraft, whatever. Yeah, but what I mean by sandbox is we impose those rules, and this is what happened in the kids apps. We create this space with set rules, and then we give the kids some of the tools to sort of like play around. And that, so what I mean, it's like it has to be a controlled sandbox. So in this case, so we give you this world, we give you those tools, and now you gotta work to combine those tools to create something really spectacular. See, now it's gonna, so you activate one thing, then it touches another one, and then, yeah, this is how really spectacular crashes happen. Yeah, so this is what we're working on right now. Yeah, and this is, I mean, this is the path we've taken from making black and white, abstract video, like digital art for kids apps. Like this is the first year, this is the second year of our life, and yeah, the game we're working on right now, it's coming, like we're thinking about soft launching in May, early June, on iOS and Apple TV as well, and we're probably bringing that to Android as well. Yeah, I'm done. Thank you.
Can you tell a bit more about testing, how you do these focus groups, or how it's done in your company? You just invite kids to your office, or how it go?
I mean, I do have 2 daughters, so obviously I test on them a lot, but you know, that doesn't work now. Yeah, I mean, we have a Facebook page, we have a lot of friends. We normally invite like 10 to 20 kids. It's better to be 10, I mean 20, I mean you can't control a room of 20 kids. So yeah, 10 kids, you buy them pizza, you buy them I don't know, like fruits, and you tell the parents we need like 1 hour of your time. We basically just give them the iPads and we just watch them play it. And we record what we're seeing, and then we discuss it with the team, like, yeah, what's right, what's wrong. We never tell anything, you know, tell the kids what to do, like what not to do. I mean, we just observe. Yeah, and in our Berlin office, we have like a kids space, small kids space, in Fox and Chip office. So kids can come, always, it's like open door office. Kids can come, play, and we sometimes give them an iPad, like, hey, you want to play something? And observe.
Hi. Can you tell more about Apple TV app? Is it the same like iOS, or it's a bit different, controls and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at the video, there was even this play button, which is because the UI is from the Apple TV. Yeah, it's going to be pretty much the same, but what we're going for, and I already showed it to Apple in Berlin this January, and what they said is that, yeah, like on iOS, especially on smartphone, the play session should be super short, the way we're showing it here, like 30 seconds max. Whereas on Apple TV, the play session can be a bit longer, and we're pitching that to Apple as an ultimate party game. Because I don't know if anyone played Burnout. Did you play the Burnout games? It's a console racing game, and they had this super cool crash mode, and that was my favorite. I hate racing games, but I normally would just sit with my friends on the couch, and we would just, you know, you crash, you pass the remote, you crash, you pass the remote, and you see who makes the biggest crash possible. This is how it's going to work on Apple TV. It's a party game. Yeah.
I'm thinking about other examples of sandbox games. You mentioned Minecraft yourself. Usually they seem to have some kind of meta game. There's something going on beyond the immediate creation loop, which is often quite short. In Minecraft, you would have like the meta reason, for instance, to protect yourself at night, or to play with friends after you've built a really complex, fancy level. I didn't see any metagame in your car destruction game. Are you thinking about that?
Yeah, we are. I mean, I didn't highlight that, but what you're seeing here is like 1 month in development. This is a super early alpha version. But yes, we are thinking about a metagame because, I mean, this is going to be a free-to-play game. And we're going to sell those perks, like you saw the whale, we're going to sell more of those, like the earthquake, the twister, the whatever. And in order to sell those perks, people, I mean, they will not buy those perks just to, you know, create the most spectacular crash for themselves. We need a competitive environment in there. So we're thinking about a meta game which would introduce that.
Thank you very much, Oleg, again.
Thank you.